Today is the last day of Dakar, podium in Buenos Aires.
All the pain, stress, sleepless nights and heartaches become worth it today. The final day. We ride with the winners to Buenos Aires. The motorbikes promised a year like no other, a flat-out race at the highest pace. And in a flash, he was gone. Sunderland won the opening stage, and by day 3, his rally was over. Barreda was the man to take control. He triumphed on the longest stage the next day, as Coma began to feel the early pressure. And both favourites fought to keep their cool. A rookie came to the front on stage 3, but with great days come bad, and Walkner's race ended at the bivouac on day 9. His story was continued to the end by the other rookie, Toby Price, who is ready to take his place on the podium. The mind games began on day 3. Barreda played his card. And it was his hand that came out highest, as Coma's tyre fell apart and he lost 10 minutes, a time gap that would define the first week. There were days where it was flat out and head-to-head. But no one was as fast as Rodriguez. He was the third different Honda to win a stage. Pablo Quintanilla moved to 4th when we entered his homeland of Chile and headed a mass of skilled riders in the top 10. For the leaders, it was cat and mouse and a stalemate, 10 minutes the buffer between the two who would be king.
Esto significa
It's
que la
significant
carrera
because
se
the
va
race has closed
compactando
up and
y
gaining
que cada vez
seconds has become like gaining
segundos
minutes.
se convierten en minutos, ¿no?
After a rest day, it was back to the spectacle of Bolivia and heartache for Barreda. He rode 120 kilometers with a broken handlebar and still kept just 4 minutes of his lead intact. Bolivia gave its all to the Dakar, and it was too much for some. The Salar de Uyuni was a defining moment, where it all ended for Barreda. One more day in the Atacama, and Gonçalves took up the challenge to Coma. Over the Andes, touching the sky, and the race roared back into Argentina. Gonçalves and Coma locked together until Honda had the heartache of an engine change. That left Jaquez with a stage win. Coma clear at the front, and Barreda free to win stages. That brings us to the final hurrah to Buenos Aires. 174 kilometers originally, but the weather had other ideas. 79 were left to start today, in reverse order as history demands. Everything was fine at the start until the race caught up with a rainstorm. Frans Verhoeven was one of the first to hit the ground, but not the last, as the dust turned to mud and the grip turned to slip. The race was eventually shortened due to the continued heavy rain, and with all the races so close to the finish, the decision was taken to stop short at checkpoint 2, much to the relief of the riders. Only one rider in the top 10 lost a place today, and that was Laia Sanz. She dropped to 9th, but it's still a new record finish for a female rider in the Dakar. And the reason she was 9th was the speed of Ivan Jaquez. He took his second special of the year in the treacherous conditions. It capped another great day for Slovakia. Jacques from Svitko, Price consolidated his third, and Gonçalves was followed home by Coma. Toby Price loves racing the desert, but he showed his prowess in the mud. He's rocked the establishment this year and been bitten by the Dakar bug. His journey is just beginning. This year, second was a just reward for the hard work and dedication of Gonçalves, both to his sport and to his team. Honda can be proud of their best result in 25 years. But for Coma, Mr. Smooth, no worries in his last few kilometres. This race means as much to him now as it did in his first win in 2006. We're here, 5. A team effort for number 5. Coma is our champion. Here we are, very happy, proud after a race that was demanding and run at a really high pace. And taking home a 5th victory is something that I never thought that thing would happen in my life. Mark started as my water carrier. He was the person that followed me when I won the 2004 Dakar on a bike. To win one is difficult, but to win many times is much harder. Keeping up the work and the standard, he just does it so well. I have lots of respect for what he's done. There are athletes who only know how to win, and he's one of them. I don't think that anybody is as similar to me as Mark Coma. We fought as 2 people for 1 seat.
He is a book of knowledge on the sport.
He's a rider that worked on his aggression and his speed. He knows how to reinvent himself. And he's not a guy that stayed old school. He's a guy that adapted well to the new generation of riders that appeared. Lots of years of work. It's practically a life that's been invested in this. And now it's very good moments, and I don't want them to stop. It's 15 years since anybody beat KTM in the Dakar. Coma now has 5 of those wins, and he ties in the history books with Deprez and Neveu. Only Peter Hansel has more. His was his first back-to-back win following last year, and you know he'll be back for more to reach the record of Peter Hansel. Coma from Gonçalves, not the Honda we perhaps expected, but the Honda we deserved. Price a rookie in 3rd. Words can't describe that achievement. Quintanilla is now a true force with 4th. Look further back, Slovakia strong with Fitko, Faria, the venerable Pasteur, Jax, the amazing Laya Sanz, and somehow Olivier Pain in 10th. 45 quads took to the start in Buenos Aires. Only 18 are due to finish. Those that did fought against the toughest conditions across Argentina, Chile and Bolivia. Title holder Casale was not spared the Hardegger problems. A crash with the car on stage 3 damaged his quad and dented his hopes. But on the Salar de Uyuni in Bolivia, the tables turned. On the most difficult stage, Casale took back the lead from Rafael Sonic. But then, the Dakar had not finished with his punishment. On stage 10, a broken chain dashed his hopes of victory as his race ground to a halt. The same day, Sergio Lafuente, who was 3rd overall, had a spectacular crash. His quad broken, he too left the race. Sonic was clear to the line. A late storm from Christophe de Klerk with 2 stage wins launched him into the top 5, while Nelson Sanabria kept progressing. 12th last year for his first Dakar, he's 4th at the moment. On the podium, we find the best Bolivian, Walter Nosiglia. And alongside him, the leader of the new quad generation, Jeremiah Sverioli. The 18-year-old is an outstanding 2nd. And our victor in the making, waiting in the wings to take his bow, Rafał Sonik on his way for his first victory on the Dakar. It was no easier for the quads than for anyone today. A surprise fastest in the slick ruts was Willem Sangeman. He won the last stage of this Dakar, and his first. No mistake was the key for the last kilometres for Rafał Sonik. It's the realisation of a dream for the Polish rider who controlled his race and finished 8th today. With more than 2 hours and 50 minutes of advantage, Rafał Sonik won his first Dakar in Buenos Aires.
I would never made it with this machine.
Last, but congratulated as a champion, Paula Galvez, the first Chilean woman to ride a quad in the Dakar, made it to Buenos Aires today. She's finished her Dakar and with it won the true admiration of her competitors. But the podium was all for our champion, Rafał Sonik, who comes home with a comfortable gap over Jeremias Gonzalez and Walter Nasiglia in our final podium spot. The cars had over 9,000 Ks of racing with drama all along the way, and it started with a bang, a big one for Nani Roma. He lost all hopes of retaining his crown at kilometre 3, day 1. We have oil problems, and we're scared of breaking the engine. The race would continue, but Roma was devastated. Peugeot came to learn and adapt their new car to the tough conditions of the Dakar. It was to be a rough journey for Carlos Sainz, forced to quit after crashing out, and all hopes rested on the shoulders of Stefan Petterhansel. He too struggled with mechanical issues. Most were due to his own mistakes. After a dreadful 2014 edition, Robbie Gordon hoped to hit back. The American had the speed, certainly, but not the consistency. No glory again this year for Robbie. On his first Dakar, Yazid Al-Raji impressed in his Toyota Hilux. 1 stage win and 3rd spot overall until day 11. Sadly, the Saudi's Dakar stopped in a Salta petrol station with a broken engine. He might not be as spectacular as his opponents, but Christoph Holowicz has had his best ever Dakar. Calm and consistent, the pole will finish on the 3rd step of the podium for the very first time. Geniel de Villiers gave all he had in his much improved Toyota. But again, the South African had to settle for 2nd spot overall. When you include his victory in 2009, he now has 6 podium finishes to his name on the Dakar. The battle was intense. The battle was spectacular. And it reached its peaks on the Salar de Uyuni. Nothing anyone could really do against the new master, Nasser Al-Attiyah. The Qatari took hold of the overall lead on day 2 and never once let it go. On his way to Buenos Aires, he claimed 5 stage wins, taking his personal win total to 24. So at last, the long-awaited final day has come. A last journey to glory, reduced to a quick slog in the mud due to bad weather conditions. He started the Dakar with 2nd spot. He finished it even higher with a stage win. In between, Robbie Gordon was the victim of all types of problems, but the American finishes on a high with his 10th special stage success. So Gordon won this final stage ahead of Leroy Poulter. Emiliano Spataro took his Renault to 3rd spot, just in front of Terranova and de Villiers. 8th on the final special, Christoph Holowicz gave Poland its best ever car result on a Dakar with his podium. A great performance for the Mini driver, who'd finished 5th previously. For the 4th time, Giniel de Villiers has to settle for a runners-up position on the Dakar. There wasn't much to be done against Alatir. De Villiers will be back and hungrier than ever. Nasser Alatir's path to glory was once again trouble-free. There was no point in pushing too hard on the final stage. But that didn't mean he was going to go slowly. The Qatari takes his second Dakar victory after his first triumph in a Volkswagen back in 2011.
I remember 2011, because the finish line was here. And I was so happy, because it's a special moment for me. And I said, okay, if will be the finish here, I will try to do it again like 2011. This was fantastic. We are leading from the beginning and we control all Dakar.
He lives really for motorsports. That is all his life. If I remember him in the first years, he was super fast, but obviously too fast in many places.
He's very fast in mainly all types of conditions.
We saw him at the time driving against Carlos Sainz in a Volkswagen. The battle was really intense at a very high level. He's a real competitor, a fighter, and he's very fast. He knows when to take risks.
He's always smiling, he's always enjoying.
He's like you see him every day, smiling, all the time in the car as well.
He always has a joke or two up his sleeve, but when he gets in the car, he races quite hard.
It's a long time to dream to win Dakar, and we win 2011. It's everything, because it's the best race in the world.
So the top two have barely changed the whole way through the rally. Alatir from de Villiers, Hollowitz, a fine podium. Eric Van Loon, look at that, in 4th place, his best result on the Dakar, ahead of Vladimir Vasiliev of Russia. Christian Lavielle, a fine result for him in 6th, ahead of Bernardin Brink, Carlos Souza in the Mitsubishi, Rakim Baev and Chabot in the SMG. As the best of the two-wheel drives, but just outside the top 10, the best of the 3 starting Peugeots is that of Stefan Peter Hansel, finishing 11th. Cyril Dupré in his debut in a car, 34th.